Former Democrat Congressman of Ohio, Dennis Kucinich, nice to see you, sir.
Hi.
Were you surprised? You know what's AWOL in this debate? Economic policies that will grow the U.S. economy. President Obama, the Democrats, not mentioning that at all. Are you surprised President Obama went low?
Actually, I wrote that on my notepad here, that the race ought to be about economics. But let's face it, this race degenerated into a free-for-all, starting with the Republican primaries. That's not to excuse what anybody has said, but we have to put a context here. And right now it continues to be a free-for-all. President Obama is doing everything he can to try to help Hillary Clinton get elected because his legacy actually depends on having her in the White House.
All right, Congressman, well, what is that legacy? It's the federal debt has doubled to $20 trillion, anemic economic growth. You know, the Democrat policy seems to be, and we've looked at it closely, is get on the Democrat gravy train, we'll give you freebies, we'll make the government bigger, whereas the Trump guys, the Trump folks on the Trump train are saying, we're going to teach you how to build the train and get you jobs to build the train and get you good-paying jobs. What do you think?
Well, whoever is the next president is going to have to put America back to work, no question about that. The Obama years have had great difficulty. Let's face it, the Senate was never going to cooperate with him on anything. That doesn't excuse... But his
policies were basically growing the government. Why should the Senate agree with what his policies were?
Look, the greatest growth in the government came from the expansion of military spending to continue to pay for wars. And that's something that he and Hillary Clinton agreed on. That's something that I disagreed with him on. I think that America has to reset its priorities, not just to get back to work, but to have a different role in the world. We cannot be pursuing wars all over the world. We cannot be sending the wealth of this country abroad to spawn more wars. We have to take care of things here at home. I hope the next president will do that.
As is clearly understood in both sides of the political aisle, and many would agree with you on that. The problem is the percentage of adults in the workforce right now are 1983 levels. Ronald Reagan said, were you better off now than you were 4 years ago? Right now, it's are you better off now than you were 8 years ago or 20 years ago, Congressman. You know this. You've talked about this. Household median income is at 1996-97 levels.
Yeah, I think the economics will play a role in people's choices in this election. I also want to point out, in Cleveland, where I'm from, the African-American community took a devastating hit during the subprime meltdown. People lost their homes, lost their investments, and frankly, there was not a path to get people back and to repair the damage that was done to families. So, you know, there's a lot of reasons why the country is in flux right now politically, but economics remains one of the largest. Our trade policies, our policies of interventionism, hopefully the next president is going to take note of that. Yeah. This race is a close race. Either candidate could win.
You make a good point about Cleveland. We do have to move on, sir. You do not fix income inequality, economists say, by giving people a house they can't afford. It's tough. You do want to raise people up and get them to owning homes, but to get them to do that, you have to have jobs, Congressman, right? Final point.
You have to have jobs, but you know, you can't be like the banks did in Cleveland where they scammed people into signing so they could book the value of the loans and roll them into mortgage-backed securities.
And Barney Frank and the other Democrats let those horses out of the barn. Thank you, Congressman.